live with the stream, and 3, 2, 1 backstage. Marker sound. Dream jobs is the topic today. All right, are we ready? Nick, do you want to do a behind the scenes intro to office hours?
Let's go.
Let's go, everybody.
This is the next gen takeover. Ending of the day. Let's go.
Bwah, 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 bwah. That was the most unhinged, I think, intro we've ever had, Nick. Let's
just keep getting more unhinged.
It does. It keeps getting more unhinged. And I think that we're coming up here on the podcast episode, which we do that a lot, and we go into podcast mode.
How are you?
We are doing a podcast episode in just a couple weeks, so stay tuned for that. But today, we're not doing a podcast episode. We are doing how to find your dream job with our friend Matthew. Hi, Matthew.
Hi. I'm so happy to be here.
Nice
What's
to
up,
see you. Chat, let us know about audio levels if everything looks good. We also are going to be doing a lot of Q&A today. So if you have questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. We'll be looking at chat and reading them pretty much the whole show. It's going to be a lot of talking today, a little bit of showing, but tons of just talking. So let's hop in. Matt, can you please introduce yourself? Tell everyone about who you are, what you do. I'm going to scroll your website as we do it. Give us the rundown.
No, come on. Okay.
It's live to the world.
Yes, it is live to the world. Hi, everybody. My name is Matthew Tjokro. I'm a graphic designer and a visual designer, illustrator. I honestly, in my head, I just say that I do things. So, and in my head, that's what I say. But I'm based in LA and have been here since school. And now I'm kind of working before going back. Yeah.
Welcome.
Nice.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So Matthew is someone who has been involved with Adobe quite a bit, and we met actually at one of the creative retreats.
Yes.
Los
Angeles,
doing a portfolio review. And so Matt has a really good story. Matt, can you tell the story of kind of how you got into where you are now, where you've landed? Kind of, can you give us the rundown? Because there are a lot of questions already coming in, but I think setting the tone for a little bit of your story is going to give some context to the conversation that we'll have. Can you run us down?
Got it. So I'll quickly go through kind of why I got into design, and then I'll get into our story because the three of us have a very fun story.
Love it.
So I got into design mainly because I'm a really big fan of storytelling. I grew up going to Disneyland, so that was something that I was always surrounded by. And then as kind of like middle school and high school rolled around, I was a theater kid. This comes to a surprise. Nobody. I was a theater kid, but I didn't really like acting anymore. So I kind of leaned into graphic design and the storytelling aspects I can do with that. Benny Gold really inspired me and was one of the main reasons I became a graphic designer. So this is something I pursued from high school to college. And then this was just something I was kind of doing on the side as like more passion projects come here and there, because truth be told, I could not land any internships. I could not land any job. There was no one ever came back to me with an interview. My portfolio was just not getting through any of the rings. So I really just decided to focus on those personal projects I mentioned earlier. So I started doing things for clothing brands. My own clothing brand, made my own sticker app. And that's kind of how I started talking with these guys in one way or another. I got invited to the first Adobe Creative Retreat. And that was such a joy to be a part of. And I remember sitting in this workshop to make your portfolio because I felt, oh man, I really need help here because this portfolio is not getting through any steps. It's not getting through any recruiters. What am I going to do? So I sat through this workshop, and lo and behold, Nick Longo was teaching that workshop, and he was giving some great pointers. And I asked him, hey, like, can you really quickly look through this and like tell me your honest thoughts? So he looks through it, and he goes, dude, this is amazing. What? And the key quote that has always stuck out to me is he goes, "Who are you?" and that was just such a really shocking moment.
Andrew, get over here.
Yep.
You have to see this.
100%.
Bro,
yeah,
that is so true. That is so true. Your passion projects, I think, are the best example of kind of them working, and I love that you're using them as the breakthrough in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
right.
And that's how we got involved with Andrew as well. Nick pulls Andrew aside, and then we go into a separate room. We just start talking about design. And I asked Andrew, hey, like a lot of people have said some pretty good things about my portfolio. Can you like really tear into it? And he did. That was the best part. And he gave me some really good feedback.
Tag team, baby. Tag team.
Tag team. And I moved around a lot of stuff on my portfolio since then. And then honestly, they gave me the confidence to actually start like really getting into like the depth of what my portfolio is and my work. And lo and behold, I actually did start landing interviews left and right. And that's kind of how I ended up interning at Disney. So that's where I am currently. And that's all thanks to Nick and Andrew. They really helped me through that.
He
Bro,
made it.
you
He
did
made
it.
it, y'all.
You did,
Dream job.
You did it all, man.
Landed at Disney. And where are you working at Disney?
Right now, I'm in Imagineering. I was in consumer products a few months ago.
Pretty rad. So again,
Kind of
I think this
made
is
for you.
like a dream job for a lot of people is like the Imagineering at Disney. And this is going to be a good conversation about our tips to get to that dream job, answering your questions that you have, and just hearing some inspiration from Matthew on his. I do want to show off this little postcard that I have on my desk.
You have yours too?
Look at that. Oh, yeah, I got it on my desk. Look at it. So Matthew made that really gorgeous postcard from Adobe Max last year. If you want one, time travel. All right, let's hop in and answer some of these questions that are coming into the
let's hear what
chat.
we got.
And Nick, I think that we'll hop into a couple of these as well, but let's go ahead and this is a question for everyone from Elizabeth Mock. How did the three of you determine what your dream job was, and has your dream job changed over the course of your life? Nick, you want to start with that one?
A lot like Matt's, and I think a lot like yours, Andrew. I think everything came from the childhood influences, being Disney, being entertainment, being from Los Angeles. Once I got into that, I didn't even realize it was my dream job. And there I was doing tons of work for that. And I think it's fulfilling something from what started you in the industry. I think that's the most common story I might hear. And then I hear from other people that Finn's story is very different, where he pivoted to it and found the love for it as well. And it kind of replaced something that he couldn't do.
Yep.
I loved it. I love his story. So that's for me. What
And
about
if you
guys?
missed Finn's story, you can actually go and scroll down right below us. There is a link to the live stream that Finn just did right before this with Ryan Selvey on File New. You can learn a little bit more about his story. And throughout the day today, we've been celebrating the next generation of creatives. And so if you want to go back, watch him. There he is right there. If you want to go back and watch some of these streams, you can do that. Subscribe to Adobe Live and get the updates there. Okay, so Matthew,
What about
for
you?
how did you determine what your dream job was, and has it changed over your career?
Yes, it did change. It particularly changed during that job hunt. So something I actually just said recently on a podcast was that I didn't hit rock bottom and then I quit pursuing my dream job. I quit pursuing my dream job and then hit rock bottom. I left this thought of working at Disney behind. And really just started trying to apply anywhere. So I had this really broad portfolio that honestly was not saying much. But when I met Nick and Andrew, these guys were real examples to me about being yourself and putting yourself out there. And that inspired me to say, hey, like I should take another crack at this job, at pursuing my dream job. And that happened 3 months after I met these guys. I remember 3 months later sitting in the Adobe headquarters, waiting for a call from my recruiter, and then Andrew pops in like, hey, what's going on? And I hadn't told him any of this. And I go, hey, I think I got the job. He's like, what job? Oh, like at Disney. He was like, what? So yeah.
It was pretty crazy. And I think that like something with your portfolio, and this is kind of advice to anyone that's going into trying to get that dream job, is I think your portfolio didn't have a story. I didn't understand who you were, what you were trying to say. And that's such a big thing with your portfolio, is communicating who you are, how you speak, how you create, and what your process is and the way that you think. I'm always looking for creatives that I can experience the way that they think and am impressed by their thought process more than their work. Anybody can make pretty work by following a tutorial and clicking the clicks that you need to do to get there. But if I can see a thought process and a voice and intentional thought behind a portfolio, those are the ones that stick out. And so a lot of people want the pretty portfolio. I'm fine having an ugly portfolio if you have really well thought out ways of thinking that's just crazy work that didn't work out or didn't launch. That's fine. If I can tell that you can think and process and work through creative problems really well, that's what's interesting to me.
Don't you feel too it's off seeing something totally new and a different perspective or a spin? All of us have been doing a lot of this work with Adobe over the last few months and seeing portfolios from all over the country, right?
Yep.
I feel like if you really want to stand out, you got to do a few projects the same way Matthew did, by kind of like turning the table. Yes, they were passion projects, but this was a lot of work. There was a lot to sink in, and I wanted to just know everything about it when I saw it. It wasn't the typical thing that we were seeing a lot of.
Yep.
And I think that's probably what put you over the top, dude, to be honest with you.
It's true. It was unique. For me,
Yeah.
I've always said that my dream job is to make a living being creative, because I can't get tied down to one thing. Even since a kid, even as a kid, I was like, I just want to make a living being creative. And I love doing all of the things. And that's like the magic for me. And so what's nice is mine does shift like on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis. I'm constantly just chasing, like, I just want to make a living being creative. And get to do crazy projects that are designed, that are streaming, that are partnering with Next Gen community members. I launched a makeup palette last week. Like, it's all over the place, crazy stuff. I'll show you. I have one in my kitchen. I need to run and grab it. I'll show y'all by the end. But that's what I want. And I think that, like, finding your dream job can be whatever you want it to be. And I think it's interesting how three of us have completely different dream jobs, but we have the through line in the voice that we're trying to say is we found that. And that's the magic. It's not necessarily the job. It's being like creatively fulfilled and finding what your vision is with what the application needs for the market.
100%.
All right. Another question. Nick, you can probably answer this one. Is an internship required to get into graphic design? From Sarah.
It's such a broad question.
It is.
Certain places, absolutely. A lot of places, not at all.
Yep.
So it really depends on the person that's on the other side of that table in your first conversation. If you wow them with personality, with talent, with promptness, with courteous kind of, just back and forth, they're not even going to care.
Yep.
But
Schmooze,
if it
baby.
really is demanding of that, and let's say you are not fulfilling them in any of those other areas, an internship could be a huge plus for you. So hope that answers. What do you guys think? Same?
Yeah, roughly the same. I think it definitely helps depending on what stage you are in life. I think for me, the internship is definitely going to help moving forward. But I have seen so many, specifically of Nick students, they might not have had internships, but they did score jobs like directly after college. So I don't think you necessarily need an internship as well.
And don't forget, internship's just one level of experience prior to your real job. So some people are getting part-time jobs or freelance work for a continuous client. That feels like an internship in a lot of ways. If someone's counting on you for 2 to 3 months or a year, let's say, that's wonderful to have as experience.
Yep, 100%. And I think that, like, it doesn't... I think that I'm actually probably a little more on the zone of, like, wanting an internship because it gives you a chance to prove yourself. Like, I always am in the zone of, like... This is going to sound so bad. I'm constantly in the zone of trying to make my clients jealous. And I think that like having an internship is a great way to do that. That it's like, oh, like I'm doing this internship. It's for, a certain amount of time. I'm going to kill it so hard that like, you're going to be like, oh no, your internship's ending. And it's going to be like, oh no, we got to figure out a way. And I think internships give you an opportunity to do that. I think trying to get hired right off the bat is hard because you have to prove yourself in like a conversation, in a portfolio, in a resume. And having an internship gives you that chance to like, maybe you sign on for a 6-month internship and your goal should be like, they're going to hire me in a month and a half. Like you need to prove yourself in that. And I just think it's a really good open door to get an internship to try to convert. Yeah. So I don't think you need it, but I think it's a really, really great idea.
It is. Yeah.
And we are looking at the YouTube chat as well as the Behance chat. So keep your questions coming in. A couple shout outs real quick. We have Jamie here. Hi, Jamie. We have Tara. We have Finn. Great to see you. Finn is saying, Matt is such a creative thinker. He thinks about hiking in the forest a lot.
Oh, that was true. That was a good answer.
I couldn't do that. My personality and portfolio may get the job, but not me. Oh, ooh. Interesting. We need to have confidence. No,
but that's a good thing to know.
Yes. Let's talk about that, Nick. And maybe imposter syndrome is a part of that. How do you deal with imposter syndrome going into an interview where like the goal is to feel confident and feel like you can do it?
Ooh, I would practice with a friend, family member, someone at your school, if you're still in school, obviously. Practice the confidence. My best thing is who better to talk about the work than you? You created it. Like Matt, no one can talk about the projects you've created. You were the art director, you were the production designer, you were the copywriter, you were the salesman and the pitch designer putting it into your portfolio. Who better to talk about it? So practice it. If you don't have anyone, record yourself with your phone doing it and get better and better with it. Make sure you have some story as to what that did for the client, what that did for the end user, and have a benefit. And guess what? You're now a superstar.
Yeah. So before wanting to be a designer, I wanted to be an actor, as I kind of mentioned earlier, doing theater in high school. So actually, my number one thing for myself is getting familiar with the material. If I'm going into an interview, why do I need to do this? I have to convince myself that this is for me, that this is what I need moving forward. And I have to align myself with those company values and really convince myself, get into that character, whether or not that's true or not, to be, hey, I really believe in what we're doing here. And really show that across in the interview.
Yep, I agree. I think if you pitch something or if you come in feeling any less than 100%, you have to force yourself to fake it. And I think it's totally fine. If you're not passionate about a project, if you don't love it, if you're not feeling confident, just pretend that you are. I heard somebody say, like, if I am nervous, I like try to play a character that's not nervous. And like that helped them get out of it. And I think that's such a great like example of something that it's like, oh, I'm nervous or stressed or like not confident, that it's like, ooh, I'm going to pretend that I'm confident. And like, what would it be like if I was confident? And then you're like, oh, I've like borrowed confidence from an imaginary person, or like that I'm trying to take that on and just like pretend that I'm confident, and eventually I'll be confident. It's just an interesting like perspective to try to get into that zone.
The right person's going to read that as enthusiasm, not nervousness. So always remember that. If I'd be excited if someone came in and showed a little nervousness, because it meant that this meant a lot to them and they really want the job.
Yep, I agree. Question from Alessandra Lopes. I have a degree for graphic design and a degree for illustration, but struggle to figure out what kind of job to search for. Any advice? So illustration design, and I think we see these portfolios a lot that are mixing illustration and design. Matthew, I think that you were kind of in the middle of those things too.
Totally.
Yes.
Nick, what's your advice from portfolios that you've seen that mix those two? And then maybe Matthew, I'd love to hear about, like, before we revise portfolio, what were you trying to communicate having both of those? So Nick, let's start with you, and then we'll move to Matthew to get like the inside scoop.
It can't be a 50-50, because then you're presenting yourself kind of unsure. I always say one of those has got to be the star and the other one's got to be the supporting. I have a lot of students that use the graphics as the star and illustration as the boost, as that little sidekick. You know what I mean? And I think, Matt, you're in a unique zone. I think your talent's 50-50, but you might be flexible in what you show as your star based on the opportunity, right? So if the opportunity came up with something, you could say, ooh, I think they need a little more design. Let me present myself more there and that. But bottom line, you're a double threat. And I wish I had the illustration skills to go along with my design skills. Matt, what do you think?
I'm sorry, can we repeat the question?
I'd love to hear your inside perspective of, like, when you were putting together a portfolio and you had the illustration and the design, why did you feel like you needed to have both of those? Or what were you trying to position?
How'd you juggle it?
And then I think you've revised to be a little more focused on design with some illustration incorporated into that idea of design. What was your thought process putting together a portfolio that I have to show illustration and I have to show design?
So whenever someone generally asks about the kind of work I do, I never say it's either design or illustration. What I want to do is I want to build something. I want to build this brand. I want to build this story XYZ. So I use those illustration and design skills to kind of feed into that. So because it builds into more than just illustration and design, honestly, it falls more under design because I've designed this brand. I've put together all this stuff. I've made this style guide. I've put together the icons, the badges that I need in order to make the content that I'm trying to make. So yeah, I'd say that it's definitely leaning more towards design, but I use that illustration as a boost to the way that Nick's pointed out.
You're spinning it in your own way. Like they're both equal parts to a whole that is what you're presenting, and that is storytelling, that is solving the problem.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah.
Okay.
Good question.
Loved it. Got through those questions. Like I said, this is live. We are doing a live Q&A, hanging out and trying to give you advice on how to land your dream job. We haven't gotten to any of our questions yet, which is fine because we want to answer your questions. So if you have more, keep them coming. We have gotten through all the questions currently, but chat, go ahead and put them in there. If you have questions, we'll continue to chat through there. And here's another one.
There we go.
Here
Look at that.
So keep them coming. Nick has like a full list of questions. So if we get to them, we get to them. If not, we'll just talk about your questions.
Let's keep these guys. These ones are great.
All right. Here's the question. Here's a question we always get when we talk about dream jobs and careers. What are some pros and cons of presenting yourself as a specialist versus a generalist or a jack of a lot of trades? Matt, how do you present yourself? Would you present yourself as a generalist or a specialist?
I actually don't know how to answer that question. I think now I'm just trying to pursue things that I really want to pursue. So I think I call myself a generalist in most senses because I think I can design for a lot of different things. Most recently, I've leaned a lot more into cuter illustrations. It's what I do on my free time. It's what I do for freelance with Adobe on occasion. And I think I'm more of a generalist now, but generally I keep what I do in my career as a designer, sometimes separate from the illustration work that I do on my personal time. That's kind of what I've leaned more towards doing now. But obviously, they overlap and they take from one another on occasion. And I think that's the relationship I have with how I present myself as a generalist.
Yep. Nick,
I could do both. It depends on what's needed. If you are going after a job and you can really dissect that job and understand what they're looking for and then pivot to that. If they mention a bunch of things, then guess what? You're the generalist and you do them all good. If they highlight one thing, become the specialist to land that job.
Yep.
But I do, it changes per thing, right? I like to say I'm a specialist in my service to a client in the way we conduct business together, but I'm a generalist in what I can do for you. So like, again, I like to play both there and figure out how to fine tune them and pull a lever up or down for the occasion. What do you think, Andrew?
Yeah, I think that I am a specialist when it comes to the context of things and then a generalist for the content. That like, I can adapt anything into anything, but the context that I enjoy to working in and the context that I usually bring it into is like a specific tone or voice. And like the style of that changes and the application of that changes. But I think that I have a zone where I like to be like a little subversive, a little controversial, a little like pushed over the edge. And that can be like tongue in cheek, or it can be like, it can be like tongue in cheek funny, or it can be like retro gritty, or it can be all these things. But I think that the context that I exist in and I create in is specialist, but then the applications become generalist that I can apply it in a lot of different ways. So I think that like, it just depends on how you want to approach it.
I just want to add one more kind of thing, just more mainly speaking to like the younger audience for people still looking for internships. So getting into the industry, I would say it helps to be a specialist. It was so hard for me as a generalist to land internships, and once to kind of specialize, once to kind of narrow down on what I was doing with my 4 main projects, then I could call myself a specialist with specifically like brand building and storytelling, because that was the through line that you saw in everything in all my main projects on my portfolio.
I very much agree.
Love it.
All right, Nick.
Yeah.
All right, we have a question in the chat from Nick Longo.
This guy.
Nick, do you want to come on live and ask that question? Oh my gosh.
Hey guys, what's going on? Nick, I'm a big fan.
Yes, hit us with a question, Nick. In chat, as always, keep your questions coming. We do have about 20 minutes left in the show. We have about 30 minutes left in the show.
I was going to say, whoa, that's going by
right,
fast.
So plenty of time to talk through more questions. But Nick, let's hop into some of the questions that you have that we can discuss here on Office Hours,
Matt.
highlighting the next gen of creatives.
I think this is a great question for you. Preparing for an interview can be really nerve-wracking. Obviously, we know that. What are some practical tips that have helped you kind of feel prepared and confident before going into the interview?
I don't know if these are going to be as helpful for other people as they are for me, but I honestly tell myself that a lot of what's happening here is a little bit out of my control, and that's okay. Me and the interviewer, even before I meet them through Zoom or in person, I know we're trying to put our first step forward, and we're just trying to find someone who's a good fit for this job. And at the end of the day, in even outside of interviews, whenever I'm trying to connect with someone at maybe like an Adobe event, I just want to know more about them, and I want to know more about what they're doing. So I would say, going into any interview, what's helped me the most is just being inquisitive, wanting to know more about the person, the job, more than actually speaking about my work, because we are going to get to that eventually.
Love that.
That's
great.
That's really good advice.
It kind of takes the heat off a little bit too, because you throw a question back to them, it gives you a second to just breathe, right? And go like, okay, get situated. This is going well. You know what I mean? And you get a little bit from them to know how to kind of like continue the conversation with.
And it's kind of a power move to like ask them a question and throw it back into their court. Like, I love doing that, especially like bringing on clients is like, they're coming to me or they're looking to work. And I'm like, I'm going to throw this back on you. And I got some questions for you to see if this is the right fit, because you don't want it to feel like you were desperate or you're like, oh my gosh, I have to have this. You want it to feel like, all right, I would love to like consider partnering with you. I need to make sure it's a good match first. Because you don't want to get into a job that you end up hating. Like, you need to make sure that it is going to be a good match for both you and the company. It's a two-sided deal when you are working and trying to find your career. All right. And, that's a great question. Keys is saying, why is this position open? Where is the person that left this role? That's a great question to have.
Yeah.
Of what happened
why did they leave?
before me? And will that also be my fate?
I've never thought about that. That's good.
Yeah. It's a great question to have of like, why is this open? Like, was there and usually it's great because you can tell the way that they answer it. Then it's like, we decided to move in different directions and you're like, okay, cool, great. Okay. That means that like maybe leadership isn't as open to change or suggestions. And, not in like I can't take this way, but it helps to give you information about the actual day-to-day of businesses. I don't think that anyone has been in an interview that like, they're like, oh, that exactly matched up to how I experienced this career after 1 year, right? Like, the interview is never like, oh, I totally understand the company. I get it. Let's do it.
There's always surprises. And so asking those questions of be like, what are things that I'm going to be surprised about? Like, what is your biggest struggle within the dynamics of the company? What's a typical day
that I'll have to face if I come into this role? Like, those are great questions to have. Of be like, what's the reality of this? And like, I know you're excited in the interviews, but asking those questions is usually a pretty good angle to get an idea of the business. And then they're like, oh, they're actually like invested in this and very interested in how this works.
You're going to get an honest reaction on their face the minute you ask that question. Because I've asked that once or twice and the answer was so great. It was like, actually, this is a brand new position.
Yep.
And, and that makes you go, oh, okay, cool. Clean slate. Right.
Yep.
And it shows that they care and they're looking for new ways to grow their creative department.
Yep. Okay.
Always.
I have a little bit of a wild card here.
Go.
All right.
Hold on. Wait, I'm looking. Okay. Alessandra said, do you do portfolio reviews by any chance? I've gotten a gazillion reviews, but would love to have another one. Alessandra, can I put your website up and can we do a portfolio review?
Let's do it.
I have helpfuldoodles.com up. So Alessandra in the chat, let us know if that's okay. I think it'd be really fun to do and have the three of us do a little portfolio review to give some feedback. So let us know if you want to do this or if we want to like talk offline and then bring it to another episode and talk then.
That's Elizabeth. All right, I'm waiting for. I saw the E. I was like, wait, she responded.
Yeah, we did start office hours doing portfolio reviews. That was the beginning of office hours. So maybe we'll bring those back, and maybe if we want to, we can do a portfolio episode in the future. If you want to submit them, but if we want to look at it now, let me know. You can totally say no
on the spot.
No pressure. No pressure. No pressure. No pressure. No pressure.
She's thinking.
Yeah, right. Thinking.
Quick question. Here's another question we got.
Outside of Adobe Live Offline. Yes, totally fine. Okay, great. Yes, totally fine. We can do that. We can chat. Send Nick or I a DM on Instagram, and we can take a look there.
That would be great.
Totally fine. All right. For those just joining us, Matt, what are we doing? What's this show?
We are This is office hours where Nick and Andrew are asking me a bunch of questions about why I am the way I am.
Exactly. We're specifically asking about finding dream jobs. Matt is a next gen creative who is finding his creative career. Nick has a lot of opinions and I have a lot of advice. And so we're here sharing all of those with you, but also doing live Q&A. So Nick, if people want to submit their questions about how to get their dream job, how can they do it?
Oh gosh, hit us up on Behance or hit us up on YouTube, wherever you are watching, and we'll prove to you we are live.
We're
live
these are great right
Some
now.
Really good questions.
Yes, on October 29th at 1:30 p.m. Not even close.
October,
it's 1:30.
October 30th.
I missed it by a day.
There you go.
You fully missed it, actually.
Yeah, sorry. All right, let's do another question here. And I think, Matt, you're in a great place. We're talking about dream jobs. You're like, all right, I'm in the dream job. Love it. Is there a next step, or is this a place where like you've found yourself content? Is there like, oh, I'm aspiring still? Or once you found this space, have you found that you've settled? Like what is your feeling now? Because I'm sure that you hustled
and
like
no one's
crazy
listening.
to get here.
No one's listening.
That like, like, are you still hustling, or do you feel like you can take a break?
Half and half, actually. I got at least in the position that I wanted to be a lot sooner than I thought, and I got to kind of see what it's like to put everything together within this company, and that has honestly been so rewarding in a lot of ways. But everything I've learned within the last year of this internship has taught me, hey, what have I really learned here, and can I apply this to my own work? So yes, I am kind of comfortable at the moment, but I'm taking that comfortability and saying, hey, I'm comfortable right now. This means I can explore. This means I can learn. This means that I can push myself forward to see what I can actually put out there. So which is why I've started separating design and illustration and somewhat mixing the two within my career, because I really love what I'm doing right now with illustration. Within my first half of my internship within consumer products, I worked a lot with character artists, and I got to see their thought process and how they're detailed with not only the details of character, but the story behind the character and what we can actually tell with those characters. So bringing that back and saying, hey, okay, what do I want to do with my own characters? What stories do I want to tell? And how can I really how can I really exercise this next level storytelling that I just learned? So yeah, I'd say it's half and half, but I'm definitely still pushing, but pushing to be more unique for myself. I watched a movie recently, and my biggest takeaway was doing these passion projects. I'm doing it so that I'm a different designer, a different illustrator, a different creative by the end of it, as opposed to having followers or likes just dictating what I do.
And that movie was The Substance. Now,
No.
I was a whole new person by the end of it.
Yeah.
All right, Nick, another question from your list. And hello, those that are joining us. Please, we're talking about dream careers. How to land your dream career. Please toss your questions into the chat. We still got another 20 minutes here. Nick, another question from you. Hit me. Or
All right,
Matt.
let's
Hit
go.
Matt.
Yeah. All right, Matt, when you're up against all these other candidates, what is the best way for a young designer to truly kind of set themselves apart and be discovered or be called back? What shifted for you?
Truthfully, I never think about the other candidates ever. I want to really think about myself. I want to think about the work that I'm really producing here. And I really want to own myself and be one with my work in a way that, yes, I can have notes for my projects that are on my portfolio. But at the end of the day, like all these main 4 projects that you see, they were all passion projects. I'm going to be talking about it from the heart. And that's kind of what I do in an interview. I put my heart on my sleeve, really focus on saying, hey, I hope I'm the right fit for you. And this is who I am. This is how I'm going to fit into the organization, the team that you have. And really focusing on myself and the personality that I have, because at the end of the day, like everybody's a trailblazer. Everybody does creativity differently. How do I do it differently? How am I different? And just really emphasizing that. Yeah.
Ooh, that's
I'm
a
say
great.
it again, Matt. Who are you?
Who are you? That's great. And I do love, this brings up another
Great
question
answer.
is, with your portfolio, you only have 4 projects here. What is your advice? I think a lot of people are like, we have to have 10 projects and we have to like whatever. What is your advice to having a certain amount of projects. And Nick, what is your perspective on that as well?
Go ahead. Matt.
I'm gonna take this from Nick because he actually is the one that told me about this. I really wanted to solidify 4 projects that really honed in on my skills, but at the end of the day, I started telling myself, hey, like these 4 projects are really like who I am. These are like my foundational. This is why I do this. There's a streetwear thing that's primarily about Asian American culture. There's the Berucci sticker app that I'm revisiting now with illustration, saying, hey, this is me leaning into characters. This is me leaning into asset making, badges, stickers, everything. This is everything here. And then there's client work with Adobe Max, for example. I had the opportunity to make a postcard, but I was given pretty much no guardrails. So how do I express myself with community in that sense? And honestly, I don't remember what the 4th project is. I haven't taken a look at my portfolio in a while. The first time I looked at my portfolio was when Andrew brought it up 3 minutes before the stream, saying, hey, by the way, we're going to do this.
We're showing it.
Yeah, we're showing it. But yeah. Having 4 projects that not only display your skill, but show them who you are. And then having the rest kind of on a second page somewhere else.
Yep.
If you could look at the common denominators of those 4 things, what do they have that gave you the confidence that that's all you needed?
What I've noticed with a lot of designers is they kind of lack that emphasis on storytelling. And that's something that when I think about my creative hierarchy, storytelling is number 1. Mm-hmm. And I really want to emphasize that. And hey, I'm going to tell this brand story with you. And I'm going to be here with you, telling that story and being invested in it every step of the way. So within all my specifics, like my paragraphs that are detailing what these projects are about, I'm talking about the story. I'm talking about why this means so much to me and why it's going to mean so much to the consumer or whoever the audience is.
Excellent.
Nick?
Yeah, I agree.
What do you think? How many things do you need?
Yeah.
Again, it's an open-ended question. I mean, the goal is to go to 3 to 4, I think, and they should be robust. They should tell a story. They should have all of the checkpoints of what you want to show off. I don't think anyone has the time to go over more than 3 or 4 when it comes to how many they're going to be looking at. So I like to say, like, wow them with those first 1 or 2, and that third one could almost be extra. Like, it sounds like a little, but again, we have to show case studies. We've got to show rationale. We have to show context and all that stuff. And as long as it's in there, and I think there's a gut reaction. Don't you agree, Andrew? Like, when you see something, I know first page, I'm gonna be in for something.
Yes,
and I know
100%.
if I'm not, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So Matt, your stuff, when you showed me, I think your first thing, I instantly was like, I got in my chair and I was like, if I had a seatbelt, I would have put it on, because I was like, I knew it was going somewhere. And everyone I've shown, and I raced back to my class and showed them, you know, your case study that you had shown me, and it was so different. And I think it's so neat to see that. And like, a lot of people have to understand, they might have to see something like that to understand it. I could talk for hours and try to explain it, but sometimes the visual is the best kind of, like, you know, medicine there to kind of get 100%. You into that next level.
It's true.
Thank you for that.
And Elizabeth is saying, I'm realizing that I need to downsize my portfolio.
Yeah.
Very possible.
I feel that.
And I think that if we took a look, Nick, you said that having a few projects is kind of the zone that you should be in. But it seems like 2016, Nick, was in a bit of a different opinion there.
Well, that's Behance. That is that is the dump zone. I have everything there.
100%. Yeah. And so I did want to go back and show some, like, old versions. It's way back machine, so, like, it looks terrible and it's crazy. But I did want to show, like, we all have our, like, growth, and I'll pull up mine too, which Nick's now is, like, one of the best portfolio sites. I think it's just gorgeous. Thanks, also, Nick, what logo is this? How many times are we changing this logo? What's happening?
I just saw that last night, actually. Funny enough. Yeah.
Nick, I love this.
Thank you.
Can you animate this little thing so it scrolls through, like, the different things you do?
I think I will.
Love it.
I think it's a way of having a ever-changing, adaptable logo. It's always going to be my last name, but it's either branding, it's either mentoring, or it's my design class. So I wanted something flexible, and I wanted a punch of a color. I was too tired. You know, how many times have we reviewed each other? And I'll never forget when you said yours comes off a little bit too serious. And I was like, I was purposely trying to look more serious, but then I was like, let's just be honest. I'm going to be a blast to work with.
You're
I
fun.
love doing this. This is my passion. Show it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And in the spirit of fairness, I am going to, hold on. All right. Hold on, chat. This is hilarious.
Andrew, come on.
Should we do some lightning round questions?
I am going to show mine.
Yeah.
The problem is mine has my phone number on it. And so I'm just going to I'm just going to kill this real quick.
No worries.
Matt, and then
what's your favorite
He's
design
changing
tool
it. He's making edits. He's doing more than the phone number.
100%. No, I'm not. I'm leaving it all there.
Yes,
that's fine. That's
Question
fine. That's
for
fine.
you.
That's fine.
What's
Okay,
your favorite design tool that you cannot live without?
Now it's the warp tool. Because
Yes.
I'm in Illustrator primarily, pushing things around, getting concepts really fast. And I've taken what kind of I've learned within 3D modeling and applying it more to Illustrator. So as opposed to like using the Pathfinder tool and building these tools, I'm building out something just really fast, just getting my ideas on the page and giving my illustrations more fluidity. And that's what the warp tool does.
Nice.
So, yeah, that's my favorite tool.
You got it, Andrew?
Yes. So I was not in the illustration and design zone. I was in photography and design. I thought I was going to do both. And so this is my portfolio. I had 12 projects. I had photography, logos, and print design. Lots of photos. This is my logo, which I'm not mad about still. I think it's interesting for my initials. And then some logos. This is like, it's so dumb. And then print design. I'm still proud of this shirt. I still like this shirt. And then I did a lot of yearbook design stuff. So this is mine. And again, we've grown. And now if you look at my website, I literally show, actually, this is a great example. So I had 12 projects here. And now if you go to my website, I have one project. No, my website's going to my Instagram now. It's not even showing a project. I forgot I changed that over.
Nice.
Because I usually have one thing to say, right? And I'm on the big zone of, if you don't have something to say, then don't say anything at all. And so I have one thing to say usually, which my last thing was this Chiba Hut Pride collaboration that I did. And so pinned on my Instagram, that's it. That's all I have to say, right? And I have the makeup palette that came out is going to be the next one that I'll probably post in the next few days. That'll take over my website. And I show one at a time. If I want to give people like a vibe of my work, I have a separate website that is like, here's a little bit more about me and kind of just like the style I like to do. But again, your portfolio can be one project, or it could be something like this, that it's like, I want you to understand the way that I work and the way that I think, right? This is what I was talking about when I'm like, I love seeing the way people creatively address problems. This is that site for me. And then I have my regular site that if I have a project to show off, I will. If not, goes to my Instagram.
So I think it's safe to say
in the Zoom chat, I just dropped my first portfolio site.
Yes.
You guys have not
Chat,
seen
you're gonna
this,
see-
so
yeah, okay.
so we can pull this up.
Let's see it.
Nice. Little
I have not
workflow.
looked at this in a solid while.
I'm obsessed.
Yeah. So this was my first portfolio. I wanted to have like this museum feel to it because I really enjoy the Bay Area. I love San Francisco. So this was based on a template that I'd found within the website builder that I was using.
Yeah.
There were things that I liked and then things that I didn't like about it. I loved my scroll function, and I love that there was kind of this story going on with the bridge and kind of what was going on here. So even if you maybe like hit like the about, I don't even remember, you can see like the
Check
little
out
like
the MT
Presidio
logo on
buildings.
the top.
Yeah, that was the first iteration of it. Yeah. So
Everyone's
then you
got
find
one.
the buildings. Everyone's got one. And yeah, I really wanted to tell this story, but to me, it started looking too clunky. There was just a lot going on. Even my first page, if you just hit back on that home icon, there's a lot I'm trying to fit into this. Like there's photography, there's video, there's general graphics, there's all this random stuff that doesn't let the more important projects speak to themselves. Even though I have the main two projects at the top, they're not emphasized in the way that they should be.
Yep.
But now in this new site, I'm emphasizing the four main projects that I really, really care about, and then other things that I've worked on. And now there's a more in-depth story that I actually tell myself about. Even if you hit reload, Andrew, there's the colliding red, blue, yellow, just to show you like you're gonna have some fun here. Yeah. And that's something that I really cared about, and that's something I actually really pushed to including. And even as you scroll through this site, we start like floating above a city, but once you get to the bottom of it, if you just scroll past those videos with Adobe Live, you see that there's the rest of the city, and I'm just there having a good time. And so we've started from a higher elevation going all the way to the bottom. And that's, again, another level of storytelling that is so important to me.
That's so fun.
Because that says something about me.
And I think that like this is a great conversation to have. And I wish that maybe I could pull up your site from when we talked. Let me see if I can get that, because I think that the feedback that I gave you, and I liked being really, really harsh in portfolio reviews, chat. So like, don't think that I mean. Do you have your portfolio site anywhere that would have been when we looked at it first?
No, but honestly, we could just look at my portfolio now and do it.
Right. Yeah. So what I think,
he's like, I'd rather we do it now.
I don't, because I don't know where I'll find it. That's
yeah. What I said about Matthew is like, he had this landing page and it came in and you were like floating above the city and it was this awesome, like so fun. And then we got in and it kind of was just like not as fun projects. Like it's show images were not as fun. It wasn't like your curated, like your strongest stuff. It was kind of just like all there. And I remember kind of looking and being like, I'm kind of just like get disappointed because this gives me so much energy and so much fun. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like geared up for this experience that you're about to take me through by the tone that you set here. And then you scroll and you're like, oh, it's not matching that up. And so now it has that through thread that I'm like, oh my gosh, this is exciting. This is fun. Like these images are popping out. It's got motion. Like it's taking me on the journey that you set the expectation for. And I think that that's a big thing when you're working with your portfolio, is to set the expectation up front and then tell that story throughout, right? I do the same thing on this website. It's crazy, but like the second you land, I'm setting your expectation of like, this is just everything. Like, you know exactly what you're getting. You see the name going crazy. It's just like images thrown. It's like, great. You have the expectation. I'm going to tell you that story all the way through, right? Like this is overlapping. You can't read it. Don't care. Like it is telling that story. And I think Nick does the exact same thing, right? You land, giant image of amazing design. You scroll through, here's more amazing design. Like it's just nonstop. So set that story. And if you set a high bar with your header or whatever they land on the website, if it's anything less than equal to that header, they're going to get bored and click out. Like they're going to be like, this isn't matching up. This isn't what I had signed up for. It's out.
That's a lot of work to keep that, whatever you start with, how do you keep that momentum going? And I think, like you said, as long as it's kind of telling you that kind of story, expectations of you, you're winning, you know?
Yep, absolutely. All right, Nicholas.
Yeah.
More questions.
How much time do we have?
This is live. We are doing this live. Yeah. Hello. Nick, what time is it to prove it?
It is 1:48.
1:48, the day before Halloween, 2020 something.
Yeah.
I lost track. So let us know, chat, if you have questions. We got about 5 minutes left here in the stream. We got about 7 minutes. Let us know if you have questions, and we can answer those as we go through. This is Adobe Office Hours. We're live every Wednesday at 1 p.m. to help you level up your creative careers. And real quick, I want to do shameless plugs for everyone. First of all, let's go with Matthew. I'm going to pull up your website for ampersand. Can you talk a little bit about this? Do a shameless plug. Nick, we're going to plug your podcast, and I'm going to run and grab the makeup palette, and everybody gets a shameless plug on the show real quick. So I'm going to put this up, and then I'm going to run away, and I'll be right back. Matthew, you're up first. Here's your merch. Talk about it.
Got it. This actually is a very old site. I haven't used, or I haven't made artwork specific to ampersand for a while, but for me, ampersand is my design philosophy. It's why I do this. It's to celebrate Asian American culture, but also to embrace more historical aspects of design. So these are all inspired from different historical aspects, which is why I've kind of ended up the way that with the artwork that I have. It's very important to me, but I haven't felt the need to explore kind of these aspects again. So it's been a few years, but I'm willing to revisit this. But right now I'm currently focusing on, if you want to pull up my art page again on my Instagram, Andrew.
Yes, here I am. Sorry, did I throw to a site that wasn't relevant?
You're good.
Yeah, a little bit, but it's okay.
I'm here.
Ampersand is very important to me. But yeah, if you can kind of see this little bear character running around, that is my current passion project, Bearuji.
Oh, yes.
So this was initially a sticker brand that I'd worked on from high school to college, just making a bunch of stickers to use on iMessage. But now I want to revisit, tell more stories with these characters, and actually do them justice. Because I actually learned illustration for Beruji. I wouldn't say I was an illustrator before it. So everything that I learned about Illustrator was through doing this project. So I actually became a completely different illustrator after producing 100 stickers. And I said, hey, it's been a few years, and
Nice.
I should prove to myself and these characters that I can finally do them justice. So that's why I'm revisiting Beruji. That's why I'm looking to tell these very simple stories, but can say a lot, and kind of have their own simple storytelling moments within each panel. Nick, you're up.
All right. I'm going to plug you guys because Finn and Matt made such an impression on all of us. And when we were all at Max, I gave them a challenge. And I said, if I send you microphones, will you guys do a podcast episode of just the two of you chatting about stuff? And it is a must listen for all of you guys. You can check out DGDC Pod on Instagram, and the link tree is there. There they are. These guys drop such good knowledge. I love your conversations. The talking about like getting into uncomfortable situations, putting yourself out there. You guys talk as if you've been in the business forever. So DGDC Pod on Instagram, go check it out. Please listen to them. It's a video podcast. You can chill with them for an hour. It's amazing stuff.
Go hang out.
I will say, just to that point, Nick, the only reason Finn or I really take on like that knowledge is because we've surrounded ourselves with you guys, our mentors, because you guys have passed on literally years and years of your experience saying, hey, like this is what we experienced. It took us years to learn this. Here, this is for you guys. So now we know not to make those mistakes, and we've essentially learned from what you have given us. And we wouldn't be where we are now without having like sought out being surrounded by other creatives that have been in the industry longer.
I appreciate it, man. But you two are old souls. Am I right, Andrew? I'm
Yes.
telling you. And I'm so glad you guys know each other. And I know you guys will be design buddies for a long time. So
100%. Shout out Finn.
Both.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
thank you, Adara, for
Andrew.
dropping the link to the podcast there. You can go check it
Yeah,
out.
thank you
and
so much,
listen.
guys.
Yeah.
I launched
All
a
right,
makeup
Andrew.
palette. This is my shameless plug with Bomo Beauty on Instagram. Makeup palette. Here we go. It's gorgeous. So got to design this. It was super fun. Little spot UV action. Huh? How about that? Yeah.
Whoa.
Nick loves a good
Extra
spot UV.
layers, baby.
So check that out. Really fun. I'll be doing a full design process. So follow along on Instagram. We'll be launching it and showing all that process. All right, time for lightning round. We got 3 minutes for 3 questions. Nick, Adobe Portfolio, Webflow, Squarespace, Wix. Where are we building websites?
Wherever you find the best kind of interface, whatever suits your needs, whatever you want, research sites you like, and then find out where they were built. The best
Yep.
thing I can tell you.
All right.
Right?
Lightning round, Matthew. How do you feel about building your own site versus using social media platform like Behance or Instagram to build your presence?
Truthfully, either works to my experience. But I preferred a website because I am a unique storyteller. So I want a unique platform in order to share that. So my specific like platform, everything that I built from the ground up is very important to me. And that's something that I really cherish because that was what my story found out in me.
Yes. I love
Yes.
that. Lightning round, back to Nick. Unless Nick, do you have a
Okay.
question? Do you have a lightning round question for me?
Oh, yes. What's the best,
I wanna be a part of
best
this.
career, what's the best career advice you've ever received, Andrew?
Make yourself proud of yourself.
Yeah.
Just like do it for you. And
Yeah.
Cool.
like that, if you're proud of yourself, then great. If projects don't work out, then you're still proud of the work that you did. And usually if you're proud of it, your clients are going to be proud of it. Or
I love
if you're proud that you like went for something and tried something, then it's good. Then it's going to be fine. I think there are a lot of projects that I was trying to make myself proud of myself by like going after a client and trying to do a project, and it worked out. And that's how I got the makeup palette. Like, the makeup palette was a personal project that turned into a real thing, that turned into a collaboration with another makeup brand. And so like, make yourself proud of yourself. Just do cool stuff for you, and eventually it will come through.
You got time for one more?
Yep. One more question.
All right. This one's for both of you. What design trend do you wish would disappear?
Ooh, Nick, you know you shouldn't have asked me that question. You know you shouldn't have. Andrew.
Okay. This is,
hot take.
It's a hot take, and like I have friends that do this, and so I'm not targeting any friends on social media. This is more for like generic social media and TikTok. We gotta stop pointing at things and like drawing people closer. It like drives me crazy. Like I have so many friends that do it, and I'm like, great that it works. And I'm not saying like that is just the thing that I'd want to go away. Is like just show how to do the thing. And then like closer, I'm like, I can't move my phone closer to my face. Like I don't. So I think that trend to me, I just don't like it. It feels icky. But again, like I do it for a living. And so I understand that like you have to do it to like get engagement and that kind of stuff. I just hope that we move on from that and we move to just like, here's how to do the thing. No shade toward anybody. I love all the people that do that and all my friends that do graphic design. You got to do what you got to do. It's the thing that I wish would move on. All right, Matt, your hot take.
I'm so glad Andrew went first because he inspired mine. Designers, stop only focusing on social media.
Yes.
I would say that's my number one thing I want to put out there. Everything that I've accomplished within my career now, either like with the company I'm with or in my freelance life, has all been done without social media. That's just been through networking. That's been through communicating. That's been making friends and people that I go out with, and just surrounding myself with people I really care about and that really care about me in the sense that they want to include me in what they're doing.
Yep. Also, we have 10 seconds left that we're going to get cut off. So,
why don't we
don't indulge yourself.
We're going to finish this question on YouTube. Come over to YouTube. Keep going.
Okay. What I've noticed with a few other social media designers and illustrators is that sometimes they restrict themselves to that way of thinking. Think outside of the box. Think outside of the algorithm. How else are you going to get your work out there? Now I'm done.
Love it. Nick, any trend that you want to see gone?
Let's go back to design, not social influence.
Love it. All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching Adobe Office Hours. This has been How to Land Your Dream Job with our friend Matt. We got cut off. I knew it. We got cut off on Behance. That's okay. Knew it was going to happen, but here we are. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We will see you next week if you're on YouTube still for another episode of Office Hours. Goodbye.
Bye.